We're here today to talk about our history, talk about our current state of the Goldfinger Group, and where we're going, our goals, what we're trying to achieve, both professionally as a company, collectively as a team, individually, and where we see ourselves and staying true to our values, our ethics, and our vision all at the same time.
Absolutely. I mean, I joined you 3 years ago. I think you started the Goldfinger group maybe like 5 or 6 years ago.
I went off on my own in 2014. I'm not good with math, but it feels like around 7 years.
So why don't you talk about how you started the
Sure.
Goldfinger group? I think we should focus a little bit on the history, talk
Okay.
more about where we are today, and really focus on what we see for ourselves.
I didn't know what to talk about, so I'm glad give me a little direction. It's very, very helpful. So I'll just say I started at Cedar Sinai August 31st, 1987. It was about 7:22 in the morning. I was born. And anyways, about 23 years later, I got into real estate, my first real estate job. I was turning 23. I was 22, turning 23. I worked at a property management company in Miracle Mile that managed about 1,300 apartment units in the core of Los Angeles. And I always was interested in real estate. I actually wanted to start on the residential single family home side, but after sitting in a couple open houses and having zero interest in doing single family, I decided to pivot over and do multifamily, do investment real estate, commercial real estate. So I worked at a property management company for about a year, year and a half, and then I worked at a brokerage called Marcus and Millichap, which is a large commercial real estate brokerage company. I didn't see myself continuing there. Number one, I can't really wear a tie every day. It's a little much for me. You know, we just a lot more casually. I personally am not down with the suit and tie, and just couldn't see myself working in a suit and tie environment long term. Also, I didn't want to be a broker long term. I mean, I really gained a lot. I think in every place that I worked, the property management company, Marcus, and then I worked at a family office that syndicated multifamily investments similar to what we do, and I learned a lot in every single place. The property management company, couldn't see myself doing that long term as a third party property manager. Didn't want to be a lifelong broker. And then I worked at an investment company sourcing acquisitions and wanted to do something on my own and take my family namesake. So my mom's parents are the Goldfingers. That's where the name the Goldfinger Group comes from.
We're not secret agents.
We're not.
We're not that cool.
We're not. If we were secret agents, we would still tell you we're not secret agents. But that's kind of the long and the short of it. I don't know how much.
No, that's great.
How much you want me to go into it, but I'll let Max take over.
Yeah, and then I met you through a friend who worked at Marcus, and I joined you 3 years ago. I think we've kind of told this story in the past, but and really just been ramping up everything that we're doing. I think you created an amazing baseline of syndicating deals, finding investment opportunities, and we're so focused on buying the right apartments at the right price in the right locations. I think, what we always say is hey, we want to kind of buy the ugliest property on the block that is in the best neighborhood. So it just hasn't reached its fullest potential, and we're able to come in, turn the property, renovate it, and help create a better environment, a better community wherever that property is located. And here we are 3 years, 3 months, same thing. And we've really grown. I mean, you see the numbers up there, over 100 million in experience now, 39 investments. We're closing about a deal a month. We average 12, and we've been trying to continue that, right? It went from, I don't know how many you were doing before, maybe 6, 8, 9, now it's 12. And, we really want to keep ramping up, continuing to do what we do. In the multifamily space, we brought on another acquisitions guy who's helping look at developments, looking at repositioning, repurposing properties, live work, or development sites, or ways to get creative. And I think the big thing with us today is we're always figuring out how can we establish value. It's you can keep doing the same thing, but it's all about, well, how can we create even more value than we were yesterday?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I think that on that note, as we are in the experiential generation, in the generation where people are doing more work from home, as people are valuing their living spaces and just their overall life experience. People are valuing life experience today more so than necessarily saving up and saving for the future. And also as life expectancy gets longer, people are living for longer, so that obviously creates more people in the rental market. So people are valuing where they live and what amenities they have, and our goal is to create housing that people want, to create housing that is suitable for today's demand, for today's rental market. And so we look at the apartments when we go in and we meet with a contractor. We talk about it. We don't just think. We talk about it. If I was moving in, 10 years ago, if I was going to move in, or in 10 years from now, if I were to move into this place, whatever it is, what would I like? Where would I want the fridge? We probably spent 2 hours this week talking about where a certain fridge should go. I mean, it's ridiculous, but it's really those details, right? The devil's in the details and the profits in the details. Because if you can give people what they want, then they'll pay for it. That's the point. If you give people what they want and they can afford it, you're meeting the market, meaning you're not putting in golden toilets into Compton, right? But you're really figuring out how to style an apartment, how to configure, how to lay things out in an apartment that's going to be most efficient for the tenant's use and for their living. People will pay for that because they're going to value it.
Exactly, and I think the biggest thing that you've been stressing lately that we've been pushing for is outdoor space. I think it's huge, right? We can upgrade the flooring, the countertops, the cabinets, right? A lot of people are doing that, but how can we create an even better space than what's on the market for people? And I think outdoor right now is huge. We've seen that transcend. I mean, a lot of people have been getting dogs. I got a dog.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people want to be outside. They want to have space. They want to be able to entertain, have people over, and not be confined to just like a small living room. So outdoor space has been huge for all the projects that we've been doing.
That's right. So where do we go from here? We talked about kind of our history, kind of what I did, leading up to forming the Goldfinger Group, and then bringing on the illustrious Maxx about 3 years ago. So we talked about kind of our history. Maxx has been very, very humble, not talking about his PhD in molecular biology.
Insignificant.
I don't even know what degree he has. To be honest, I don't think there was no like resume or anything. I just knew that you're an engineer, which is more than I am. And whatever. Just
I wore
step
a
up.
coat.
Great.
I didn't wear a tie. I wore a lab.
You wore a lab coat, big goggles. So we talked about what our backgrounds are, where we came from, where we are now, what we're focusing on, which is creating value for our tenants and as well as our investors. And where we're going is what we're going to be talking about. And I'll let this guy handle that.
Yeah, I think the big thing that we've stressed in the past is, I guess, kind of two aspects is our beneficial relationships, and it's everybody that we work with. We've covered, the escrow companies, the title reps, our leasing agents, our property management, the tenant, like everybody. It's all about a beneficial relationship, and to say it again, like we're always figuring out, well, how can we bring value to the other person? Like, what are their wants, their needs, their desires? So I think looking ahead is, how can we continue to bring value, if not more value, to the people that we're working with, our investors as well? I think it's one of the biggest components. And then on top of that is continuing to have a positive impact on the people and communities, right? Where we own properties, where we're working. Like, I think the impact that we're having on that community is so important to us. There's a lot of things that go on in the city. There's a lot of headlines and news articles. Like, we're all about bringing value to this city, supplying housing. And as we get creative and look at other real estate opportunities, right? If we're going to develop new housing or we're going to create live-work environments, like, it's all about having a positive impact. That's like number one for me.
It's number one, both because it's the right thing to do, which is the number one reason why it's the number one reason for us. Coincidentally, it happens to be what oftentimes will lead to profits, because if you're really considerate, if we are really considerate about what other people want, what other people need, what the market demand is, what the community wants, then oftentimes that is what's going to yield, not always, but oftentimes that will yield the highest returns, because it's being sensitive and considerate to what the consumer wants, what the consumer is demanding, and how we can raise the bar to have an elevated experience for our residents and the communities that we are investing in. On the financial side, to get down to the meat and potatoes, we've, a few months ago, I don't know if it was in 2020, I think it was the middle or end of 2020, we hit the $100 million mark on our investment experience, and that's definitely a milestone for us. Definitely a milestone for us to hit the $100 million mark on the investment experience, which, great job,
Yeah,
awesome work.
amazing.
And our next milestone is to join the B Club. We're trying to get into the B Club, the $1 billion investment experience. And I think, we've talked about this a lot. The average deal size for us so far has been, the $3 million range. We're really trying to get into larger deals because that's going to push us into the $1 billion club sooner. Los Angeles happens to have a ton of smaller multifamily assets. The larger multifamily assets don't trade as frequently. They certainly don't hit the open market as frequently, and they certainly don't have the same seller profiles as the smaller deals. So we've had a lot of success with the smaller multifamily deals. Our goal is to get into larger properties and have, instead of our average deal size be $3 million, we want it to be, we're going to inch up to 4 to 5 to 7 to 10. We want it to be in the $10 million range. And then obviously we want to continue growing so that we can increase our returns and give more money back to our investors.
Absolutely. And I think the only way that we're going to do that is by surrounding ourselves. And by surrounding ourselves, I mean our team having the right people and aligned with our values, what we're trying to do, people that are motivated, that want to hustle, want to grind. It's all about the people that are at the Goldfinger Group. I mean, we sit here and you see us and you listen to us, but I feel like we're such a small piece of what's actually in our office over here.
It's really true. It's really true. Companies are a function of the people that are working there, and so much of it has to do with having the growth mindset, having a hustle mindset, and also having a mindset of mutual benefit, working together, collaborating for a greater result, so that 1 + 1 = 3, and that's what ultimately we're looking for in our growth. So I don't know if there's anything to add, but obviously, if anyone's watching has any deals that they're looking to sell, looking to buy, or want to talk to us about investing, we'd be more than happy to discuss with you. You can DM me at Elijah Koropkin or DM at the Goldfinger Group. Max is too cool for Instagram. He does not have a DM yet, but I'm sure if you really want to find him, you can look him up, or just DM at the Goldfinger Group and we'll put you in touch with him.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Until next time.